Everybody, I'm international publicist Michelle Tennant Nicholson. I co-founded Wasabi Publicity and also Pitch Rate. And today we're doing the hashtag 21-day PR action guide. This is it, challenge. And this is September 2020, Friday, September 18th, 2020 at 1 p.m. Eastern. And by the way, do you see how dark I am right now? I'm going to give everybody their first Zoom or video chat hack that I've been telling all of my clients this week. So right now I have two screens up and I'm going to open up literally just a Word document. It's just a Word document that's blank. Oh my God, I want you to see that again. That ugly girl on Seinfeld, remember he had like good light, bad light girlfriend. This is the bad light girlfriend. Now watch. Oh my God, right? No, I know. It's like the craziest thing. And so I said, I'm just going to tell everybody. Many of you already know. I can see that there's just some pros in here. You're like, that's not what I tuned in for. I know. You're tuning in for pitches. So let's go ahead and get started with the PR huddle, okay? So there's a lot of people. Thanks to our lovely publicity hound, Joan Stewart. She is just sharing like a storm, and we've grown by leaps and bounds. And that's just fine because we actually break out into small groups. So everybody gets a chance to share and be with like-minded creative people. So good. I see some of you are already, oh, Carol, you have no idea what we're talking about? Where's Carol? Carol Granick put in the chat she didn't know what we were talking about. We're talking about Skype and hacks on that. If you want to further ask your question, please let me know. So everybody right now, go into chat and pitch yourself. Just everybody, because you got to, I mean, I think we had like 150 people signed up, which means, you know, we'll get a portion of those people actually showing up. But right now, pitch yourself, practice right now. Your best 1 to 3 sentences. Here, I'll do mine. Okay, ready? Okay, I'm doing mine. Everybody do yours. You want to do your little pitch, and then your don't forget your URL. I'm literally doing this on the fly. So everybody else just do it, because we're talking about pitching yourself in 3 sentences or less today. Between, let's see, this is what I usually say. All right, good. Oh, I forgot my URL. Don't forget your URL. Oh, and I misspelled my URL. Everybody make sure you did your, one of my key things is that I always, when I cut and paste it, and then I'm just going to put it into a browser to make sure that I've actually spelled my, I do this with all my pitches. Before I send a URL, I actually cut and paste it and then put it in a browser. It's just back from my old proofing days at a publishing company. Okay, this is the right spelling now. There. Oh, and seeing it hyperlinks well too. Okay, look at everybody. Yay! And so we've got marketing professionals, authors. I went through people's chat last Friday, and my goodness, we just have a diverse group. And thank you so much for being with us on a Friday afternoon. We want to make sure that this is valuable for you. So I hope that you brought a pitch with you. If you haven't, or if you don't have this book, then please download it from pitchrate.com. Hannah, will you put pitchrate.com in the chat? So people ask, what was the homework the first week? And so I was like, all right, the 5th grade teacher and me will give you homework. So last week we did week 1, and that was creating your media materials. This week, we're doing your pitch, which is basically, if you think about PR and what we're doing with earned editorial, very distinct from paid, which is advertising media, or owned media, which is your social platform, your website, your intellectual property, your brochures, your business card. We're not talking about that. We're talking about earned editorial media, trying to get you in the news cycle. Okay, there's plenty of professionals here today, by the way, that if you do need help with those other pieces, they've got opportunity too. And of course, Hannah would always also love to help you if you need further support with anything. Sometimes we even partner with other marketing professionals, and I probably get hit up to be on our, people want to be on our staff about once a week. So if you're looking for work too, never hurts to put your resume out there. But this is what we did last week, media material. So baiting your pitch. Baiting your pitch, think about it like the worm on the end of your, if you're throwing you're fishing and you've got like a little nice juicy worm on the bottom of that pole, then that's what we're actually putting in front of news reporters, journalists, producers, and so forth. We've got a lot of journalists also participating with us. So we're going to break into groups and actually try our pitches out that you just read to each other or just wrote down. We're going to read it to each other now. And so we're going to take 5 minutes and we're going to go round robin in our small groups and try our pitch out. Pitches work if you actually have something that's memorable, right? If I'm just a 5th grade teacher and I taught 5th grade in Cincinnati, Ohio at one point in my career, which I did, it's not very memorable, right? You might remember Cincinnati, you might remember 5th grade, but it's going to easily forget, right? I put people on the front page of the Wall Street Journal. People are like, that has people stand up like, oh yeah, I want to know more about that. So make sure that you have a little bit of that juicy worm on your 3 sentences. And don't worry if you don't have it perfect. That's the whole call today, okay? So Hannah's going to break us into, you're going to meet new people. Some of you are like, yay, new people. And everybody else is like, oh God, I just really didn't do my hair and I don't want to talk to anybody. That's fine. Don't worry about it. It's Friday afternoon. Who cares, right? And then tomorrow it's Saturday. Don't worry about it. It's also just to be together, right? In the pandemic, it's a hard time. So we're going to break up and then I'll be back here, or I'll be back together in 5 minutes to share on how it went. Make sure you click join. Where have I landed on a Friday afternoon? Got it. Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. Well, no worries, everybody. If you're into a good time and you're a marketing person or interested in marketing in any way, you are in the right place. We are creatives, journalists, marketers, authors, organizational heads who are trying to do something with the news cycle, okay? So if you're just now meeting me because you've gotten Joan Stewart, I love Joan Stewart. Just so you all know, I've been doing PR for 31 years. And when we started Wasabi Publicity, I think it was 2002, I needed a place to ask stupid questions. I want you to know this is the place to ask your stupid question because I needed a place, right? I see Pam going, sweet. Okay. No, I asked the most stupid questions because, and I actually hired Joan Stewart. I became part of one of her early mentors, right? She had a mentorship program that she does. And I was like, oh, I want to be a part of that because Joan used to be an editor. So I had always been on the one side of the phone, right? I had always been pitching, but I had never been on the receiving end like Joan. And so I got to ask Joan, hey, Rusty, that's a sweet vantage point, by the way. I don't know if Rusty knows that we can see him. Hey, Rusty. So we're all live, you guys. Okay. I don't know if I just scared him off or not. There he is. He's like, no, he's like, I'm not going to put my video on. Here's the thing is that if you have a question about PR, earned editorial, or the news cycle, you can do like I did with Joan. And this is free. This is something that we're offering in the pandemic. Okay. It's just something that we're doing to support everybody as they pivot and try to keep their businesses solvent in the in these challenging times. So what we talked about, like we said, we had just broken up into a breakout session where you got to practice your pitch. And it might have been messy and it might have been wonderful. Doesn't matter. And you can also practice your written pitch in the chat room right now. I promise I will read them later. I did read them last week, and we have, the thing that I was left with is how diverse the group is. Also, thank you so much for your compliments. Last week, the compliments were put in the chat, and I feel really touched by those compliments. It always feels good to hear something nice, especially in our social media world, right? So put whatever you want to put in there. Now, on the right, when you look at a little later, not now, but a little bit later, if you want to save something in your chat, there's a little ellipses in the bottom. So just left click that. Is that a left click or a right? Left click that, save chat, and it'll save to your computer. Okay. I do see some, oh, got it. Okay. It's hard for me to read private messages while we're going because I've got the whole group. Sort of like when I teach spinning classes, right? We got to just keep the whole session moving. But thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth. And welcome to Rita and Marcia. They're first timers. Hi, Rita and Marcia. So if you haven't picked up your own 21-day PR action guide, it's a workbook. We're actually going through a workbook, and we do it every month. And then we have 3 Friday sessions that help you with your PR campaign. And for many of us marketers or authors, we have a new campaign every month. So you're welcome to come back and do something new, okay, with us. So this week, what we're talking about is your pitch. So how do you pitch yourself in 3 sentences or less? Sometimes before the breakout sessions, I give you a little bit of a lecture, and then we break out. This time, I put you on the hot seat because that's how it comes at you with the press. That's how it comes at you at a cocktail party or in a business meeting, a networking situation. Who are you? Produce. Get my interest. You got 45 seconds, right? That's how it comes at us. Even though you're behind your screen and you might be a warrior on social media and you're just they got to get who you are in a second. So let's talk to my divorce expert, the Child Center Divorce Network. Let's see. I got to look through. Where's my person?
Here I am.
Here you are, Rosalind. Okay, great. So Rosalind, I'm going to pull hers out to show everybody. Rosalind, is that okay with you?
Yes, that wasn't written as a pitch. I started it before you had asked, so it's basically just who I am, but you can certainly use it as an example if you'd like.
Yeah, I just want to showcase a little about what we talked about. So would you like to try it for the group?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm Rosalind Sedacca. I'm founder of the Child Centered Divorce Network, and I'm very concerned about how COVID-19 is affecting the impact of divorce on couples, as well as increasing the amount of divorces looking ahead.
Okay, great. And that's a step ahead on what we just workshopped in the breakout session. There were a few things that we discussed with Rosalind, and thank you for being so generous and putting yourself on the spot, is that it started to get into the details, right? It wasn't simple enough.
Right.
And Bambi was my other person in the group. And so we simplified it so that you want to practice with other people so that they don't struggle remembering you. Right? So we want to make sure that, like, oh, did I get what Rosalind just said? Or do I have to struggle with what she just, like, does it take something to actually recreate what she just said? That's one thing that you can do in your breakout session. Is it easy enough for another person just to quickly remember that? By the way, also the same thing with your URLs. It is a bad URL if you can't remember it as soon as you've ordered it. Hello? It's like I got clients, they come and they've got like a URL that's like so long. I'm like, what is it? And they don't even remember it. And you're like, that's not a good URL, okay? Your website address is what a URL is, okay? So Rosalind, we just said, she talked about the issues at hand, but we didn't get that she was the expert. In this pitch, we got that she was the expert. Guess what's missing now, Rosalind?
My URL.
Nope, because it's a verbal, right? You're not writing it. If you're writing it, fine. But it's just us talking. You're on the phone with me, or you're at a party with me, or we're in a Zoom together. Does anybody know what's missing?
Our business name.
Maybe.
You could reach me at?
Really? all these people on the phone and nobody, now I'm doing that teacher thing, like, who's got the right answer? I hate that type of teacher, okay? Yeah, well, pretty good. We got over here in the chat room, call to action and so forth.
Right.
We don't know that she's gonna give me content. She said, I have concerns, but she didn't tell me she has tips or stats or stories or connections or something that a journalist can use. Right, where's our journalist in the room? Let's have one. I see Marjorie's undone here. So Marjorie, how would you be able to use a divorce, like what in her pitch, what were you hungry for?
I would be hungry for, tell me how it's going to help me.
Yes, what's in it for Marjorie? What's in it for Marjorie as a journalist? Now, Marjorie happens to be a journalist who also has a book on the benefits of walking and walking in nature and easy walks at that. So if you had done your research on Marjorie before you pitched her, you would know that she's into that, right? And what you might even throw at her is, hey, I'm the founder of the Child Center Divorce Network. I'm really concerned about COVID and divorce. I noticed that you have a book on easy walks. I wonder if you would like some tips on how to go for an easy talk and talk you out your divorce proceedings or something like, you know, crazy like that. Marjorie likes that. How crazy? That's memorable. What? I'm going to go on a walk and talk about my divorce with my family?
Walk and talk.
Are you crazy?
Walk and talk.
Walk and
Yeah.
talk. Boom, you got an article or a segment. You see, Rosalind? The only thing that was missing is the tweaking the word concern to tips or statistics. You know, journalists are looking for those steps or those tips or the statistics or the stories. Oh, I've got ones that you could say, you know, blah, 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 blah. By the way, I read that you're into walks. I've got a family that's willing to speak to the press about how they walked and talked their way through a divorce. They actually would go to a park and it would neutralize their arguments because they were in nature. I'm just throwing things out. I don't know that that was actually what you would say, but you see where I'm going with that?
And I'm customizing each pitch to the
Yes, to our person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's stick with Rosalind. Thank you, Marjorie. I know we've got some other journalists in the room. So who would like to just do this little like large workshop with us? Who else? Just unmute yourself or raise your hand. You can raise your hand in the bottom under participants, and then you can electronically raise your hand. But I can see most of you, so we can do the old school raise your hand. Anybody else want to do a little interaction? Podcaster, writer. Okay, Nita. Oh, this is a good one. Okay, this is good. Nita. Okay, Nita Winter and Rosalind, please meet. So Nita is a, well, Nita, why don't you practice your pitch before I.
Part of Rob is there too.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I just, because of what you said, I just changed some things. So it may be a little rough here.
But it's okay, you're in a safe place. Nobody's gonna laugh. Well, we might laugh, but we'll be muted. Here, I'll mute myself.
I won't take it personally. Imagine life without wildflowers. Winter Badger Press inspires hope and action through their new multi-award winning coffee table book, Beauty and the Beast, California Wildflowers and Climate Change. Conservation photographers Rob Badger and Anita Winter, plus 16 passionate authors, are a voice for wildflowers. You can learn things you can do and how to, well, that's more about buying the book. So I just switched it around, so I lost my ending. With 25 steps people can take to make a difference, there's something there for everyone at wildflowerbook.com.
So last week we were talking about me versus we. Can you tell me if that was in the voice of me or we?
Well, what does we mean?
Yeah, I missed the call last week, so I'm sorry.
No problem, because it's something that I want you guys to get in your bones, okay?
Yeah.
So so first of all, Rosalind, hang out, because we're going to connect the two of you so that we, in the next breakout session, the rest of us can actually learn a little bit about networking, okay? I mean, you're professional networkers. It's not that you have to learn anything, but you never know who's on the phone for you, right? So me versus we. So I had our nonprofit client, Humane Society Silicon Valley, on Monday, and she was talking about, you ever notice how corporate clients are always about me, and then nonprofit clients are always about we? She was just kind of like ruminating about the language of like how you speak, right? Corporate, and I did a little, and it inspired me to do a blog entry because the same thing exists in marketing, right? Naturally, we speak, and I just want to, authors, right? Especially, they're like, my book, that's me, that's the language of me. But the journalists are about we. What is going to make a difference for that audience? So you started powerfully. Imagine what the world would be like without wildflowers. And we're all with you like, oh my God, I love my wildflowers, right? And then it went on, and then your accolades, credentials, which we need in there. In order for us to trust you, we need to know that you have credentials, but we need to switch immediately back to the language of we. So when you're at a networking event or something like this with Rosalind and Anita, you would think there's no relationship between a divorce platform and a wildflower environmental platform. But given that we just talked about the easy walks in nature, there is a way that you all could actually partner on blog shares, guest blog shares, social media. You could do a joint venture together and promote each other's books and whatnot, right? There's ways to actually connect your databases and actually network that way. You know, you're both individual writers, right? So I want you to always be thinking about your pitch, not only in terms of the news cycle, but what's in it for that person you're speaking to. Rosalind, how would you use wildflowers with your families?
I love walking in nature. I love looking at the beauty and the color.
Right. One way that I think about it when my brother went through his divorce is what would have been a nice activity for the family, because it was so painful, was maybe they could take up like looking and exploring wildflowers and have a way to be distracted from the pain of what was actually happening. That's like one thing that I think that like our local, you know, right now the news cycle is hungry for something more positive because it's so negative. So thinking about things that might alleviate stress or improve mental health, those are all lifestyle topics that the press is actually looking for. Thank you, Nita and Rosalind. That was great.
Thank you.
Now,
Thank you.
what we want to go through next is inside the pitching, we want to talk about who you're actually talking to, because that really, as evidence with Rosalind, it changes your pitch. So who would like to practice next? Who wants to be our other person who would like to practice their pitch with everybody? Oh, we got a lot of looky-loos.
I can do one of mine.
All right, Shell. Elizabeth, I saw you, and Shell spoke up before you. My bad. All right, Shell. Hi,
Okay,
let's hear from you.
I had two that I put in here because I do family law, writing, save your marriage stuff, and humor with aging. So the humor with aging, just to take it in a different direction. At Fat Bottom 50s Get Fierce, we are embracing and celebrating being over 50 by getting even fiercer. More growth, more enjoyment, more coffee, and more humor.
Okay, perfect. I love what you wrote. The delivery, let's talk about it, okay? Because are you a lawyer yourself, Shell?
Yes.
Okay, I want you to recreate that like you would be in a courtroom, because you've got, look how many people here, right? So recreate it for us so that we're actually like with you inside that delivery.
Okay, I'm
because
not
you're
sure.
also kind of like, you're making a point about humor, you know.
And it wasn't humorous because I
Well,
was
I mean,
reading it.
yeah, I mean, it was
Okay.
very endearing though. Come on, try it again.
Okay, well, if you had seen me before I knew we were on video and I slapped a comb through my hair, it would have spoke for itself.
A plus already. Thank you. There you go.
Hey everybody, at Fat Bottom 50s Get Fierce, we are celebrating and embracing being over 50 by getting even fiercer. We do that by growing more, Sorry.
No, it's good.
We
Keep
do that
going.
with more growth, more enjoyment, of course, more coffee, and always more humor. Come join us.
Yes.
We want to hang out with you.
Right now, okay, everybody, which one? Like, tell me in the chat. First or second delivery? Right, of course. Second, right? So many times that's what we're practicing today, Shell, is like really just branching out and just going for it. Because a lot of times in our world, like we try to have everything be perfected. And sometimes it's more about the timing than it is about what we say, right? The timing is very important in pitching. And so a lot of times I see clients, they workshop a pitch or a press release or a media material or a press kit, and it takes weeks. And then the news angle is over, right? So this is perfect. Like, people are talking about health in the pandemic, not only like in COVID related, but then also just being at home, alone, weight gain, mental health, all that stuff can be tied right quickly into, and how much fun, right? Any podcaster who's doing anything with age related humorous topics. I'm thinking like there's a Baby Boomer Radio podcast that we always play.
Hi, did you eat your breakfast?
Hi, Monica.
Oh, my good boy.
Monica Martin, Hannah. She needs a little help with her. Thank you. And so that's the thing that, I think is important, is to look at who are we targeting? Who are we? So you've got this great pitch, but then who, right? So then when you're pitching that person, like Baby Boomer Radio, you'd say, hey, I really like that you talked about baby boomers getting cats and dogs last week. And then go right into your pitch, whether it's verbal, we talked about phones. We had a bunch of millennials, by the way, last week, if it's at our YouTube channel, if you want to see it. And I made the point that you don't call millennials and leave voicemails, okay? If you didn't catch last week, don't be calling millennials and leaving 2-minute voicemails, right? I think it was shocking for some of the people 35 plus on the phone. Maybe not 35, let's just go 50 plus, okay? Because I'm 51, and I remember we were like the first high schoolers that had the Commodore VIC-20. Any other Commodore VIC-20 people? I see Lauren. I mean, people were like, I had one. Okay, so the meat of your pitch is drawn out by who you're pitching. So we're gonna break into breakouts again, or yay, and then we're going to talk about that meat, what you're going to put on the bones of that meat based on the person you're pitching. Content, it's all about what we said to Rosalind. It's all about the tips, the steps, the stats, the stories. Okay, so let's draw it out a little bit. Make sure you hit join. Okay, first of all, while people are coming back, let's talk about being ready for interviews. So the whole point of why we're pitching the press, whether it's broadcast or print, is so that we're doing interviews. What happens when the technology fails you? So Elizabeth was just sharing with me from Babble Better that she was doing a Facebook Live from one of the previous challenges. And I was just asking her about an update on how did that go? How did your interview go? And she said it was great until the very last bit. I got disconnected because my internet went down. Listen, technical difficulties, I know, right? She's like, but she got the first 15 minutes, which is fantastic. She's going to put her link in the chat room if those of you who have been on previous calls with Elizabeth and you want to check out that first 15 minutes, she's going to put it there. There she is.
Couldn't she use that as an opportunity to reach out to them again and say, would you like the last 5 minutes of the story or something like that?
Oh, for sure. But I mean, I also want to talk about how being prepared, right? So
well, ended up coming back in. I had to link to my phone. So I connected to my hotspot, came back in, kind of tied it up, but I was a little thrown off of like, So I didn't really get to do much of a call to action, just like go to my website, we can talk about it, but I didn't really get to say much about, I'm running this and this and this program, like that type of thing that I would actually like to actually click into someone. It was actually, she actually did go over. It was an hour-long interview, and we were going like for an hour, 20 minutes. So
It's perfect. So it's like, you know,
Right.
through the years, technology changes, right? But back in the day, we'd have a phone and a fax, and those would fail too. So always ask yourself, what secondary or third piece of technology can you have available? Just expect to be disconnected. When you told me that story, Elizabeth, I was like, yeah, one of the things that I always do is I expect to be disconnected. So I have both phone and laptop that's, you know, different. It's wired differently into the internet so that I can just quickly, with grace, move to another piece of technology and get reconnected. So that's just a really good example. And congratulations. We all want to see that, okay? The other piece we scheduled, or we shared about, was Pam's Everyday Spacer. So Pam, also make sure you put your stuff in the chat room so everybody can check you out. She is everydayspacer.com, and it's about really, you know, we decided that when she did her pitch, well, Elizabeth and Pam, I want to give you the opportunity to give your pitches too. So Pam, you want to go now?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Pam Hoffman, Everyday Spacer. I show regular folks how they can personally and directly participate in space exploration, science, and astronomy. And with everybody camping now, this is a great way to reconnect to the great outdoors. Go to somewhere that's dark and see things like meteor showers. And there's 2 planets in the night sky in the evening and a couple more as the night goes on. Venus in the morning, that kind of thing. It's a great way to enjoy time with your family and learn things together. You know, the kids need your, you know, expression of what's beautiful out there in the world. Thanks so much. And it's everydayspacer.com. Come and see me.
So Pam, that was great. So you already incorporated the kids and the family piece of it. One of the things that when I heard her first pitch was like, you know, we need to tie it into what's in it for the journalists today, which is the pandemic and kids going back to school. It's still everyday news, right? Because they're covering whether teachers are in or out of school today. There's a more protests and so forth. But a lot of families are just hopping into an RV and leaving and doing a lot of homeschooling anyway. So how much fun, you know, how do you actually see? One of the things that she said in the first round was the space station. And I was enrolled. I was like, oh, I want to go out and see the space station, right? That's what you want. Yeah, that's what you want. You want the journalist to be personally like, oh, tell me how to do that. And that you're then the credentialed person to tell me that because of your book. Perfect, Pam.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, Elizabeth, I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm sorry, just to give you an opportunity.
Okay. Want me to do my pitch?
Yeah, wait a minute, hold on. Why did Pam say sorry? What is this? No apologies. What is this?
I spelled the URL
She
wrong.
spelled the URL wrong.
Oh, fine. Okay. I was like, what is I love that one book right now. Girl, Stop Apologizing. That's a great book. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Okay. Hi, I'm Elizabeth. I help people communicate better and they create the lives that they want through language. There are so many parents who have bad habits, and we work together to create interactions they want with their children. Also, the children become more confident in language and they communicate better.
Great. And then, what's your degree in and your URL, please?
And my what?
Your degree.
Oh, and I have a master's degree in communicative disorders, and my business name is Babble Better.
And the website address?
BabbleBetter.com.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, good. Elizabeth and I go back many, many years. Okay, so I can talk to her in like a girlfriend way, right? So that's great, Elizabeth. I would just, you know, I would have at the end of any conversation you have, like blah, 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 talking about speech pathology and whatever free advice you're giving to the person. And just, you know, and by the way, I've got a whole checklist of whether, you know, for the family at babblebetter.com or whatever your little free giveaway is. Okay.
That's true. I have so many.
You do.
And yeah, that's okay.
Right. You could just have it be really like casual, right? You know, oh, Hannah, by the way, I've got some fun little giveaways at babblebetter.com. Like just have it be like a little gift. Like, here you go. Here's a little essential oil. Just keep that in your purse.
Yeah.
Like that.
Starting like little videos on, well, I have a bunch of little videos on my Babble Better on Facebook, because I have Babble Better Facebook and I have Babble Better Instagram. I even have Babble Better on Twitter. So,
Yeah, but the bottom line is that the journalists, they don't, and these people that you're pitching, they want the content. That's the meat. When we talk about the meat on the pitch, that's what we're talking about. You know, the things that you're giving away, the things that it's an experience of your firm, like your services or who you are. One might argue that this is the experience of Wasabi right now, what you're doing with Michelle, right? We aren't doing that, okay, because we're just giving away in the pandemic. But if you are in need of services, of course, contact Hannah at wasabipublicity.com, right? I mean, word gets out, and some of you are actually former or current clients. And so, and there's plenty of you who are just like hanging out and just, you know, having a conversation about creativity and marketing. Yeah. So we just, I want to take the case, I want to impress upon everybody that just like what Elizabeth was saying about language, every interaction that you have can turn into something for the news, right? You never know who knows who. Okay. So, all right. So I want, right now, before we end the call in a few minutes, I want you to put in the chat what you want me to know about this call. I love it. I hate it. Will you do more of this? Will you do more of that? Michelle, you never answered this, that kind of stuff, right? Whatever's present for you right now. I really want to hear that feedback. I want to know especially what was valuable for you and what you learned today, because I've been doing this for 31 years, and I sometimes forget what's new, right? What's new for people. To me, I do this every single day, so I just don't understand sometimes, like, what do you mean you didn't get it? Okay. Now, perfect pitch formulas. In last month, we went really into the formulas, and I'm just going to give you the cheat sheet pages on the formulas in the book. And by the way, where's our guy? Was it Mitch? Mitch, hey Mitch, let's unmute Mitch Creighton. Mitch, weren't you really, you're like the guy who wants homework, right? Let's unmute you.
I'm unmuted now.
Yeah. Mitch, don't you like homework? Weren't you the guy last week who said, what's the homework?
I asked for the homework. You gave me 51 pages, which was a bit overwhelming. But I will tell you, I printed out the whole manual. I wish I had the hard copy, because that's a lot of trees.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, everybody, you know what? I don't even really do. I mean, I have paper in front of me. If it's a book, I'll do it, but I don't even really, everything's digital for me. Well, here, okay. Okay. So the feedback from you would be that it's just too much. Okay. So then
chunk it down into something that's manageable, in that we have lots of things going on in our lives. So I want to make sure I can complete something and check that off and say that was a success.
You like your checklist, one of those. Gotcha. Me too.
I'm one of them. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let me just tell you what to do. Okay. Let me just so let's skip all that. For everybody else, the focus of the book is going to be pages 55 through 107. But just for Mitch, the essential pieces. Okay, let me just see. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Okay, well hold on, let me just see if these are better in the, let's see which one is going to get you. To be honest with you, I like page 87. Okay. Page 87, you're going to go over the meat of your pitch. Basically what we just, once you get into your credentials, say who you are, and then, oh, okay, I'm listening. What do you bring into the party, right? Then you've got just a really quick 1-2 on what to add for the meat of the pitch. Then you've got on page 90, I think, the heart of what we're talking about. Now, for those of you who are like, oh, I'm just not going to download another one of those books, fine. Then let's just give it to you. So you choose one of the hooks from day 11 that you use to write the first paragraph and then build a body for it. So this is how we build out the meat of the pitch. Your story, your problem, your issue. What problem are you solving? Okay. But the very first thing that we ask you to do is to what type of media right? So broadcast and print are different. A podcast are a little different than radio, different than TV, different than a Wall Street Journal journalist, right? Think of it in terms of this. A print person wants the scoop. They want something to educate. A broadcast person wants to entertain. They just don't want you to turn the dial. Remember when we had dials, everybody, rather than remotes?
And clickers.
Like I got Lauren's always laughing at my jokes. Right? You know, I remember the dial because my brother and I, when I was 6, we would play in castles with these ottomans, and he climbed up on the top of like 4 ottomans and fell right onto the TV in those old 1970s knobs. Yes, he still has a scar. Yes. So yes, some of us are old enough. Yeah. And then other years, like, I don't know what she's talking about. I just use my remote. So what is the problem you're solving? What is unique? So over the next week, Mitch, don't even open this. I want you to watch the news. Oh, no. But instead of being dragged down by the news, I want you to see it as an opportunity to make a difference. You know how my dad used to watch the news and say, why aren't they talking about this? Okay? That is what you need to pitch. So write that down. So watch the news that you normally watch and then ask yourself, what's missing? That's your meat.
I know what's missing.
Okay, perfect. What about you try your pitch on us and tell us, go right into what's missing. Practice your pitch and then go right into what's missing.
Can you imagine traveling in the time of COVID? I am a cruising concierge. I've traveled the world, and we're in the process right now of trying to figure out what we can do to stay healthy and get everybody back to working. 1 in 10 people are involved with travel and hospitality in the world. It's a major part of our economy. And I have ideas of what we need to do now to get everybody on the same page, and I'd love to share it with you. My name is Mitch Creighton. I'm with Creighton Travel, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Okay, well, this morning they said that in the planes, right? I can't go to Europe, Mitch. So
yes.
How to solve the problem for me is that I want to go see my friend in Germany and I can't, or I want to go to the beach and I can't.
And you know that the problem is every airline is a competitor and they need to come together as friends and figure out this problem. Every cruise line is a competitor and they need to come together with common protocols. All the World Health Organizations are competitive. They need to come together. What will help this is if we can all have science and medical agree on protocols and everybody sign up to say, I'm going to underscore those protocols. When you travel with me, you'll be safe. And when you're safe, you can feel joy.
Okay, good. Mitch, we're going back to language semantics. Switch it to you as quickly as you can. Because did you all notice how Mitch was talking about the World Health Organization and it's more in a domain of they, and it's out there, then all of a sudden you're not drawn in. So as soon as you can switch to you, Katie, you, Tracy, you, Marjorie, you, Marie, you, Elizabeth, you, Lauren, you can make a difference. Then we all of a sudden out here go, what is this guy talking about? Travel and airport safety? What?
You got it.
Right? That's when we start to pay attention because you're speaking to me. You're not speaking to they.
Okay.
Okay, good. Anything else? Okay, so pages 90, 91, and 92 for you. Just 3 pages.
Okie doke.
And Mitch, email them to hannah@wasabipublicity.com or Michelle, 2 L's, @wasabipublicity.com.
Okay.
Send it to me by Wednesday, please. See, I'm a teacher,
yes, teacher.
Right, at heart. The teacher comes out of me like, okay, not getting that, not squeezing out of that one. Okay, perfect. Well, the last piece of it is the subject line secrets. Okay, we again, it's been the focus of some of our past calls, but just to give you, there's some formulas in here too in the book about subject lines, but I want you to practice tying a current news item in right now. Most of your subject lines we'll say COVID or pandemic and so forth, I guarantee you our journalists are looking for something fresh. They still need to talk about the pandemic. They still need to talk about politics. They still need to talk about protests, unfortunately. And they're looking for something fresh, please. Okay, something different, something new, something, and an age-old thing is just to throw your favorite celebrity in there, right? Drew Barrymore, I was watching Stephen Colbert. I love Stephen Colbert, and Drew Barrymore was on recently, and she's got a new talk show. So I'm like all like, what's she doing? Can we pitch her? Like, that's my new thing, right? So pick somebody that you really like, that you want to be on their show, and study them. You know, now I'm going to study, like, just like, you know, Kelly Clarkson. And I too have my list of I haven't gotten yet, okay, and that I want, right? So even after doing this for 31 years, who cares about Larry King? You know, because it was big back then, but now if I say Larry King, who cares? They're like, so who cares if I say, what's another one that's no longer around? Oprah. Oh, right. The Daily Show, right, when her little, her daily program is no longer. So it's got to be like Oprah.com or Super Soul Sunday, which she only does like periodically, right? So the things that matter today, look at what how do you find who to actually pitch? And that's really the thing, is like, where are you paying attention? Where does your audience watch? That's what you want to be writing the pitch for, is the people who are going to be purchasing or hiring you, or, you know, getting your book and so forth. So next week, we're going to talk about the final week. And that's really like, well, what do you do once you get that placement? And so for those of you who want to work ahead, not Mitch, okay, but those of you who want to work ahead, then once you've reel them in, then what do, right? The talking points and so forth, and leveraging. So in the past, we've been doing the 21-day PR Action Guide Challenge since May, I think. So we've talked about a lot. I'm going to give you a huge secret. I'm going to actually tell you my secrets of media training at the next Friday. So there's a formula that I use, that I teach clients. I'm just going to give it away. Okay? Because I know that the juice is actually in that one-on-one work. And I think that if you know how to do sales, then you'll be able to do interviews better. Okay? Here's a hint. What Glengarry Glen Ross, remember that? It's a play, and then it became, okay. Do you remember the guy who was screaming for the good that leads downtown? Yeah. So how do you get the leads downtown? That's what we're going to be talking about. And they come from closing. Always be closing. And that includes an interview. But that's very hard for people. They don't get like how to elevate your interview to something that actually converts on your website. And so that's something that we do media training in. I'm just going to give it to you. Hannah, don't tell Drew, okay? He's going to be like, what are you doing? Like, giving that away. It's fine. Just, you know what? Give it all away. It'll come back to you is what I say, right? So it's 2:00 Eastern. I love you all. Have a wonderful week. Please get off your phones over the weekend and get into nature just a little bit, okay? Bye.